King Charles III will be crowned on Saturday at Westminster Abbey in a ceremony full of pomp, pageantry and solemn religious significance after he became monarch of the United Kingdom and 14 other realms on the death of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, in September. So on that note, we're going to be crossing to our correspondent in London, Laura Makin-Isherwood, for more. Laura, good afternoon. Perhaps you could talk to the preparations underway ahead of the coronation on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen London starting to really fill up with people over the last couple of days. International visitors coming to take their place, essentially, probably on the route if they can get there, to watch this history being made. We are going to see King Charles III in his procession moving from Buckingham Palace towards Westminster Abbey, that great cathedral where there have been plenty of royal weddings, funerals and of course coronations. He will there officially become the 40th monarch of Britain, following on from his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, who died 8 months ago. He, of course, became king immediately when she passed away, but this ceremony is an important one traditionally. We will see the crown officially placed upon his head, wearing those robes that monarchs of the past have also worn as well, holding that orb and that scepter, and going through the ceremonial procedure that basically puts him on that throne alongside his Queen Camilla. There are plenty of people at the moment out preparing that route. Barriers are going up, security preparations underway as well. And there's been a firm focus on that, of course, because there are dignitaries and international leaders coming from around the world. And on Tuesday, of course, there was that arrest outside Buckingham Palace where an isolated incident took place. A man appearing at the gates of Buckingham Palace who was then arrested, searched and was found to be holding a knife. It's not believed to be terror-related, that incident, but of course it put into real firm focus the significance of this event and of course potentially the issues that might come along with it. There have been warnings from some Republican groups that there will be protests made along the route, and so consequently a lot of eyes are on London and also those security details along the way with it.
Laura, perhaps you could talk to us about the mood and atmosphere in the UK. Are people excited? I'm asking this because we're trying to understand if this is more traditional. The swing in of King Charles III is more tradition than it is political. How are people relating to the monarchy?
Well, it definitely is about tradition, this ceremony. It has to be done in order to stand in line with what has happened in history, but also in order for him to make his promises to the people and, of course, to the church and the wider Commonwealth as well. In terms of the mood in the United Kingdom, there have been various surveys done that say that people aren't perhaps bothered either way as much as they were surrounding Queen Elizabeth II's reign. But King Charles III is going up in the estimations and those approval ratings since he has officially taken that from his mother, of course, and becoming the King of the United Kingdom. Now, people have been offered an extra bank holiday. They're being encouraged to meet with their friends and their neighbours, host parties and lunches, and volunteer as well, trying to really bring together communities at this time. Of course, in the UK, we're experiencing a cost of living crisis and trying to focus on recognising that, the support that people can give to each other. And we know that King Charles III is also trying to reflect that in this ceremony. There will, of course, be those traditional elements in there. As I said, the robes worn, those crowns filled with, the crown filled with jewels, and the real, I suppose, huge and sort of exuberant orb and scepter and those details that will be held. But he's also trying to slim things down a bit. Rather than the 8,000 people that were in the congregation for his mother, Queen Elizabeth II's coronation, there's only going to be around 2,000 people. And he's tried to really narrow down that excess. The government itself says that there won't be any significant lavishness and excess, but I'm pretty sure that when you see those pictures coming out of Westminster Abbey, those procession routes, of course, with the military and other members of the royal family within those carriages, it will look pretty grand, and there will still be a lot of pomp and, of course, that really significant ceremony.
You speak about the royal family and perhaps also, guests that will be in attendance. Has the role of Prince Andrew become any clearer, just amid links to the sex abuse scandal?
Well, there's been a lot of questions, of course, about Prince Andrew's presence at the ceremony, at the Queen's Jubilee. He took a bit of a back seat there. It's not quite clear exactly where he'll be, probably a back seat too. We know that King Charles III has been keen to try to slim down the monarchy and having only those very senior royals front and centre. We've seen Kate and we've seen William, of course, the Prince and Princess of Wales, out today in London shaking hands, pouring pints in a local pub. We've also had a lot of conversations that have taken place around the presence of Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, of course. We know that Prince Harry will be attending his father's coronation, but Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, deciding to stay back in California. The couple issuing a statement to say that they think it's basically important for her to stay alongside her children. So there are a lot of conversations, as you say. There's been a lot of scandal in the last few years surrounding the royal family. What's certain is that King Charles III will be wanting to bring all that attention back onto him, onto the ceremony, the significance of that, and what is taking place on Saturday, and then those Sunday and Monday celebrations that will also be taking place as well. But no doubt there will be conversations taking place around those relationships, and a lot of focus particularly on Prince Andrew, as you say, the part that he may or may not play, and of course what happens between Prince Harry and his father.
Laura, just to wrap up our conversation, how would you weigh in on the difference in the coronations of King Charles and his mother? What's being highlighted there in terms of the changing roles of Britain's monarchy? I'm asking this because obviously there's questions about addressing atrocities of the past, acknowledging atrocities of the past, conversations about decolonization, etc. Help us understand what's also being reflected there.
There have been a lot of conversations around that, and I think the royal family are really aware of that significance. They also know that they have to reflect the very diverse population that the royal family is linked to, the Commonwealth, of course. And we know that King Charles has taken a great effort to select things like music and those performers that are going to be at this coronation service in order to try to really recognise that diversity. We spoke to Priti Yende, of course, an opera singer from South Africa. She's going to be performing there, and she knows the significant part that she is going to be playing, and that is the type of visible presence that it seems that the royal family are trying to push forward in a bid to try to recognise their role. In terms of the differences between this coronation and the one of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, we know it's going to be a lot smaller, a lot shorter as well, because, of course, we're dealing with issues around the world economically as well. People simply have a different relationship with the monarchy than they did perhaps in the decades before, and that needs to be recognised as well. King Charles III will be performing a very significant role within life around the world. He has to reflect that too. He has to demonstrate the fact that he is not only serving the people of the country, but also the church. He is the head of that, and also perform his part as a leader within the military as well. The armed forces will be having to pledge their allegiance now to a king rather than a queen, and so he holds a very significant role within society, even if the relationship between him and people, the public now, has changed somewhat.
Laura Makin-Isherwood, our correspondent in London, thank you very much for your time. Just updating us on the preparations underway ahead of King Charles III. Coronation is obviously set to take place on Saturday, the 6th of May. Now, as world leaders and foreign dignitaries are making their way to the United Kingdom for the coronation of King Charles III,